The Chromacopia era is upon us, and honestly, I think that Tyler the Creator might have just shifted hip-hop culture. But before we get into that, let's talk about what just happened, because honestly, I think we're looking at Album of the Year right here. And of course, I don't think that's too much of an issue, because even though hip-hop has been in a great state in 2024, I haven't heard a lot of the Album of the Year discussions as much as I usually do. And maybe it's because We Don't Trust You was like very ahead of everyone, like very immediately. But I think it's at the very least up for debate between We Don't Trust You and Chromacopia. Maybe some of you will think this is an overreaction, but I think that I am very justified in saying that this is a contender for Album of the Year, if not Album of the Year. And not only do I think the music is gonna stand the test of time, I also think the rollout itself is gonna be one that we remember forever. Or I don't know if forever, but you know, for a long time. I mean, it's the year 2024, and being mysterious seems to be the meta for hip-hop artists. Like, I don't know, we live in an era where rappers don't even do interviews anymore. Maybe they'll do one or two with like Nardwuar or something. But the name of the game is to be mysterious and hope that you have enough aura. Or at least that's been the name of the game for most of the decade. Kind of like how the Surprise album was the meta towards the late 2010s. But with the release of Chromacopia, I'm hoping that maybe, just maybe, there's gonna be a shift in the culture. Because from the moment it was announced to the moment it was released, Chromacopia had the most hype of any hip-hop album in the last, let's say, like 2 years. And most of it was because of the effective rollout that it had. Of course, it all started with Saint Chroma, which introduced this Chromakopia character, which was maybe a reference to other Tyler the Creator music videos, but it was effective. It got people thinking. It got me thinking. I was making theories about it. I was very wrong, by the way, but hey, that's what an effective rollout does. It gets the people going. A few days later, more details came out, especially when it came to the release of Noid, a track that for most intents and purposes was about the paranoia that Tyler the Creator feels. Again, it was another effective part in the rollout because it got people going. People were talking about the music video. People were conversing about fame and how weird people are and how they treat people like zoo animals. Not only was the rollout effective in terms of promotion, it was also effective in terms of getting the message across. Along the way, Tyler the Creator also announced a tour and a listening party, which would be held in the brand new Intuit Dome. And personally, I took a little bit of a listen to it. I wasn't in LA, but you know, people were streaming it, so I was like, why not take a listen? And then I was like, why not just wait a couple more hours? And so that is what happened. When I woke up in the morning, I listened to Chromacopia for the very first time. And let me just say, it was amazing. Now, is it as experimental as, let's say, Igor or Wolf or Cherry Bomb? No, but I also don't believe that it needed to be that. It wasn't even a storyline record in the way that Igor was, for example. But by every metric of what makes a good album, this was a good album. It was very Pharrell-like production, especially with the Pharrell-inspired Darling I, which, by the way, song of the album, personally, but that's just because I fuck with Tizo Touchdown, who is definitely becoming one of the main players in the hip-hop game. Maybe not as main as a Tyler the Creator or a Kendrick Lamar, but he's definitely a consistent character that's always there, especially on features. And I'm very, very happy to see that. So shout out to Tizo. And listen, I've been talking about Tizo Touchdown since before I had 30,000 subscribers. And look at me now. I'm almost at 50,000. But I need your help to get to 50,000. So if you want to subscribe, I'm not begging you for it, but I would appreciate it. And anyways, in terms of features, regardless of what Tyler might have said, there is a lot of features ranging from Tizo Touchdown, Glorilla, Sexy Red, to even Lil Wayne. Noticeable in his absence is Frank Ocean, though, who many thought was going to be in the album and wasn't. I guess it just goes to show to not trust the internet, you know? I won't go too deep into analyzing the contents of this record, mainly because, like, I'm just on a first listen. This is kind of like a first reaction. Maybe I'll do that like a month and a half from now, when I'm more like familiarized with the record. But for now, I want to say that it is pretty damn good. On an Igor to Call Me If You Get Lost scale, it definitely leans more towards Igor at times, and sometimes more towards Call Me If You Get Lost in terms of rapping versus singing. But I like both versions of Tyler, so it's not really a problem for me. Just as a side note though, Tyler the Creator is definitely a munch. Like, he doubled down on that Ride My Face Without Nothing in Return line from what was it, Dogtooth, I think. But Yeah, he does that. He repeats that line on Judge Judy, so that's funny. And from the looks of it, it seems like it's been going very well for everyone as a whole. The whole internet is receiving the album, they're analyzing the album, they're consuming it, and it seems as though in terms of rollouts, this is one of the best rollouts in, I don't know, hip hop as a whole, maybe music as a whole. And the reason why I keep repeating that point and why it's so important to me is because that's good. That's good for hip hop. Like, I gotta say again, part of the reason why hip hop quote unquote died for a little bit was because motherfuckers were not generating interest for their records. And sure, sometimes mysteriousness can generate interest for a record. If you're Frank Ocean, if you're maybe Playboy Cardi, yes, but it's not gonna generate interest for everyone. And even as content creators, I feel like part of our jobs is to generate interest, but if there's no interest to generate, then there's no point in it. You gotta give people something to react to or something to analyze or dissect. And I think Tyler showed why it's effective. People can analyze the Saint Chroma character and draw parallels to Tyler himself and try to dissect what it could mean, or maybe draw parallels to just society as a whole and and analyze what that could mean. And I'm not saying everything in hip hop has to be dissectable, but it sure does help creating more interest. Like, y'all remember back in 2018, back when like one music video every month would go super mega viral? You ever notice that doesn't happen anymore because people prioritize like TikTok advertising? And I'm not saying TikTok is the devil or whatever, but there's more than one way of advertising. And hey, Tyler the Creator showed that. Maybe more people will will follow the bar that Tyler just set today. That is personally my hope with Chromakopia. I hope more people do this kind of unique thing that Tyler the Creator did, where, hey, it dropped on a Monday at 6 a.m. and people still woke up to listen to it. People from all over the world are just, right now, they're waking up, and right now they're listening to that record. It's something special that most hip-hop records don't get to do. And I also think it furthers develop the argument that hip-hop can be interesting without beef. There is no beef in this record outside of maybe a shot at Ian, but who even gives a fuck about him, In conclusion, I just want to say that Chromakopia is a good album in every measurable metric, from the instrumentation to the lyrics to the vocals. I think Chromakopia is pretty damn good. I also think that if the concept for Chromakopia is what I think it is, then that's pretty damn cool. But then again, I am on a first listen basis, so maybe what I'm picking up from the record isn't necessarily what Tyler was going for. Overall, I'd say that this is at the very least a top 2 hip-hop record released this year at least. And yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said. Shout out to Tyler, shout out to Chromakopia, and I'm rolling the outro. Yeah, like I was saying, shout out to Tyler, shout out to Chromakopia. I've been thinking about videos to release outside of this one. I just kind of took the week off because I knew this was going to be a big video, big event. Shout out to Tyler for making it a big event. And with that being said, shout out to Jay Dilla, shout out to me, shout out to you, shout out to God. And yeah.